What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bringing you incredible guests from all over the world. So sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a tech executive turned wellness coach and entrepreneur. Please welcome Kari Brownsberger. Kari, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Good to be here.
Oh my gosh, I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. So you went from total corporate, total tech industry to going out on your own. But I first want to hear like how it was being a woman in the tech industry because I know for me it was not easy.
No, it was not easy. I would say I was in roles where I was in more that are more kind of typically female roles, for the most part. So, I started in communications and marketing and then moved into customer success. So, a lot of those are kind of like where the women in the organization, kind of were. But if you like went over to the other side of the office where, the developers were, it was like,
Yeah.
total love.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. And then as I, kind of moved up the ladder, and made it onto the executive leadership team, I was one of three women, which I would say at least there were two other women, on the executive team, but, certainly felt outnumbered. And certainly, you as a woman, I think just generally have to work harder, speak louder, not, but, volume wise, but, to get your voice heard in those conversations. And, it was tough, but, we're badass women. We make it happen.
That's right. Well, I mean, 15 years is a long time. So you put your time in for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Probably a lot of hours too.
Yeah. And I think that's, part of what led me to, the journey that I've been on and changing careers because yes, I, did kind of the typical, work your way up, work for that next promotion, work for that next raise, do what you think that you're supposed to be doing that's going to make you happy and successful in your career.
Yeah.
And all the while, my health was taking a backseat. My wellness was taking a backseat. It was a lot of, long days and late nights and travel and client dinners and, not even giving myself time to like take a lunch break during the day and, things like that. And, that really takes a toll on you. And so, I was constantly trying to manage that the best way that I knew how, which at the time was, a lot of like, try this fad diet, try, this, restrictive thing, try this, super crazy intense workout. And of course, none of it was sustainable. None of it actually worked long term. And I was just in this constant cycle of, basically punishing my body. Didn't see some results, but ultimately I couldn't, keep it up. So then I would fall off the wagon and then, beat myself up and say, okay, you just have to, work harder. You just have to be more disciplined. And then I'd try something else. And, I got to a place with that where I just was like, okay, enough is enough. I can't live this way anymore. I feel totally like not at home in my own body. I spend so much mental energy worrying about, what I look like, what I'm eating, all of these things. And I just wanted to free myself from that. So I kind of went on my own, wellness journey to kind of figure out what was going to work for me sustainably, that was going to be maintainable for the long term, and really kind of address, my holistic lifestyle habits. And as I went on that journey and kind of started to, experience the benefits of that and find that freedom that I was looking for, that's when I really realized, okay, I feel like this is my life's work. This is my true, is to help other people figure this out, for themselves too. So that's when I decided to make the leap and, change careers, which, that also comes with its own set of challenges, but it's been a really amazing journey.
Oh, I bet. So I love how you said you wanted to stop the yo-yo cycle, because I think a lot of women, I mean, I think a lot of people in general kind of get into that, because it's hard finding that balance, especially if you are an executive like yourself and working all these hours being successful. And it's just like you kind of beat yourself. You can't win in any area, and it's very hard. So what was like the breaking point for you to make that change? Because that's scary. I know for a lot of people I talked to on the show that were, completely in that executive world, that to make that change is quite a different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was early COVID, and I think for all of us, COVID was really challenging, and I was relying on food and booze and all of that for comfort, and like that was the only thing we all had to do for a while, right?
Yeah.
And after a few months of that, one day, I mean, and I just felt just not good every day, like low energy, and just again was not feeling at home in my body. And one day I just, I looked at myself and I was just like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing this to yourself. And I knew that I couldn't go back to the same approaches that I had always taken of, okay, I'm just gonna, I'll just cut out all carbs, I'll cut out all sugar, I'll do, I mean, not unless you truly want to do that for the rest of your life, none of that is sustainable, right? And I mean, tying it to your, podcast, living label free, thinking about how can you live label free as far as, the food and movement choices that you're making in your life, right? And stop labeling food as this is good, this is bad. That's something that I work on with a lot of my clients, to really just break away from that mindset. Because when we say this food is bad, then that means when I eat that food, I'm bad.
Yeah.
And then we really get into that cycle of beating ourselves up, versus, okay, these are some of the time foods and these are most of the time foods, and just kind of shifting the way that you think about things, from being so black and white and so restrictive. Again, it just kind of unlocks a different level of freedom around your relationship with food and your relationship with your body.
That's very powerful though. Like when people start labeling different foods as good and bad, like and then that starts the whole vicious cycle. Like, okay, they cut that out even though they really like it, and they don't know how to just kind of balance it in their lifestyle. And then once they go binge on it, it's like they beat themselves up for, like, that's just very common for a lot of women, I think, because, oh, I'm gonna go carb free, thinking like you need carbs. You
Mhm.
need like carbs, to like fuel your body. And there's some sugars are good for you, like fruit. You can't cut off. I mean, fruit is so good for you. All the vitamins and the minerals, the benefits are huge. I love that. I love that you said that. You've actually created your own like type of science-based wellness system. I want to hear more, because it's called Knock Sustainable Wellness. So what does it mean?
Yeah, so this is a company that I've have two other co-founders and I have come together to create this company, and we all are kind of wellness refugees, I guess I would call us, where we've all gone through something very similar to the story that I shared, in terms of, taking these approaches that just never worked, super restrictive, not maintainable, and then kind of, seeing the light and seeing that you could do it a different way.
Yeah.
So we have decided to come together and form a company that can help people with that. So essentially what it is, it's a system that is designed to help support people with their habits of thinking, consumption, and movement, is kind of how we bucket it. And work on building sustainable habits in those areas, based on how you as an individual operate. Because we all have different strengths, we all have different, ways that are going to work really well for us. And the ways that work for me may not be the ways that work well for you or for, someone listening. And so we really encourage people in our process to experiment with what is going to work for them, versus prescribing you have to do it this exact way.
Yeah.
So call it wellness your way. And essentially you're going to go through this process to be on a path to find wellness your way and create your own statement of what does wellness look like for me in my body, in my life. So again, it's not about, oh, you have to, cut out this or you have to do it this way. There are a lot of different ways that people can achieve their wellness goals. And anyone who tells you that it's, has to be a certain way, I would be wary of that, right?
For sure.
Even if it worked for them or it works for some people, it may not be sustainable for you. So that's really the concept behind it. So the way that we deliver that is with a combination of an app where we have based courses that people can kind of go through and, guide themselves on, this exploration and this journey of experimenting what's going to work for you in your life. We give you, kind of different, courses and concepts to work through for that. And then we also offer private and group coaching as well, to kind of help give people that combination of, the app provides the structure and the, kind of education. And then the coaching provides the support, the accountability, kind of the deeper reflection and learning that you probably wouldn't get on your own.
Yeah, no, I love that. Do you think that wellness means something different to everyone?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite exercises that I do with my clients. So there's there's a lot of research about people who have made a significant change in their life and they've been able to maintain it. So we're talking, losing a significant amount of weight or giving up smoking, things like that. And there's a common theme among people who have been able to achieve this and maintain it. And you might be thinking like, oh, it's a certain, diet, it's a certain habit or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not. The common theme among all of these people who have been able to create a significant change in their life is that they all said that they had to create a new identity for themselves.
Mm.
They had to become healthy Deanna or healthy Kari. And so one of my favorite exercises to do with my clients is, in our first meeting, yes, we talk about their goals and, all the things that they want to achieve. But I then encourage them to think about who is this healthy version of you.
Yeah.
And really allow yourself to dream and go there and, think about how do they spend their, how does this healthy person spend their days? How do they wake up feeling in the morning? What do they spend their time doing? Who are they spending time with? Really put yourself in the position of this healthy version of you. And if you can envision it, that person is inside of you, right? So it's then the journey becomes about how do we guide you to becoming that person? And I love it because it's always so different for every, for some clients, it's, I want to be able to, keep up with my kids and help teach them how to eat healthy and, things like that. For other people, it's, I want to feel good and present at work so that I can be patient and, not have to get so frustrated when, so-and-so emails me stupid questions all the time, whatever, it's different for everybody. Which is why I love that concept of wellness your way, because we're all different people. We all, have different lives, and it doesn't have to be one, little cookie cutter box that we all fit into. And allowing yourself to really explore that and then using that vision of the healthy version of yourself to guide you through your process. So you can stop and ask yourself, okay, what would healthy Deanna do in this moment? Right. And kind of use that as your North Star on your journey to becoming her.
I love that. Is that where the science-based system comes in, or is that something completely different?
Yeah. So I would say we have our process is science and evidence-based. And so that's, I think, an important distinction to make, because science-based means that, it's based on scientific research. Evidence means it's based on the evidence of what works for people in their real life, right? And so it's important to combine both of those things, because science can teach us a lot. But then how we apply that in our life in a way that actually works, that takes some translation.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really how we have approached all of the, courses and content that we've created. That's how we approach our coaching. So everything is, science and evidence based, so that, we're not like prescribing anything that's, crazy woo woo or anything like that, that really works, that really creates results for people. But that also, it's going to work in their day to day life.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because, to make it work for you so that you can sustain it long term. Like that's like, I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. So who's your perfect client?
I would say my perfect client is someone who has tried all of these approaches before and is super fed up with all of these approaches not working for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, They've they've gone on the same roller coaster that I described, that I've been on, that I think a lot of us have probably been on. And they know that none of those things ultimately work sustainably for them. But they believe that there is still a way for them to achieve their goals. And there really is. It's just about freeing yourself from, systems and processes that might work for a certain type of person, but may not work for you. And allowing yourself that experimentation of finding what will work for you. Which really is, a journey, and you have to be willing to go on that journey with yourself. But what I always tell my clients is, A, this is not a race. We don't have some sort of artificial deadline that we're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And B, you're going to do this for the last time. This is because this process is designed to be maintainable and sustainable. This is the last time that you're going to have to go through this process of, losing this weight or managing this stress or whatever your goal is. So you don't have to be in a rush, because you're gonna have to do it again, right? We're not rushing to get to the finish line just so we can go back to our old habits. We're actually creating new habits so that those are going to last us for our lifetime.
Yeah, that's the key thing right there. Do you have a success besides yourself? Do you have a success story that you could share without naming names so that people can understand like what that looks like if they are interested in working with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a lot. I think what comes to mind are my clients who they, yes, they may have, lost the weight, they have, changed their body composition, they've increased strength.
Yeah.
Yes, they have, done these things that, were they're kind of reasons for starting the journey. But they have learned so much and really changed their life outside of that in many other ways. So, I have a client who is a young mom, and, she's trying to get her, kids to, eat vegetables and, do these different things. And so in the process of working with her and addressing, her food choices, that has enabled her to have more knowledge and, support to be able to then show her kids what healthy eating looks like and really support that. So it's, paying dividends for her and her family. I have other clients who maybe they, came to me with a goal of, hey, I have, a certain performance goal. I want to run faster, or, something like that. And, but by doing some simple things of, okay, well, maybe you're, not eating enough, or, you're scared of eating certain things, because again, we get told that certain things are bad for us. And so by adding some of these things back into their diet, not only do they achieve those performance goals, but they just have so much more energy. They just feel better all the time, every day, right? So it's about, finding that, the freedom outside, even outside of those goals, that, I think is really where the true change happens for people.
Oh, for sure. So do you think that someone that maybe that was you, like someone that was in your position is an executive in the tech industry, came to you and said, "Hey, I can't like live the way I'm living. It's not sustainable for me." Are they able to find a solution even working like they working with you?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I have clients who are, executives in in tech, in the media industry, in other, in sustainability. So they, really what it comes down to for those types of clients is it's really about embracing that this process is going to be different. So again, letting go of that like artificial timeline. And also it's really so much about kind of contingency planning, right? Most of those clients, they're in the role that they're in for a reason. They're high achieving people, right? And part of being a high achieving person, probably for most of us, is like we're great at like planning and, just like executing, working that plan, right? And that can work really well in, the context of, okay, this is my, plan for my, food, my plan for my movement, whatever. But what happens when, then that plan, like something pops up, it's like, oh, well, I have this emergency meeting at work. So now I can't do the plan. What our brain tells us is like, it just wants to go to whatever the easiest possible scenario is in that moment. Right. And so what we have to work on is, okay, well, what is going to happen to throw this plan off course, or what could happen to throw this plan off course? And what's our plan B, right? So it's doing a lot of contingency plans to say, okay, if you get stuck at work and you don't get home until late and you don't have the energy or the time to make the, healthy dinner that you've prepared for yourself, what is the option going to be? Yeah. Like easy things that you can have available that you can just like throw in the microwave and eat, or what's like the easy place to stop on your way home where you have like a healthy option that you can grab. I mean, these seem like little things, but in the moment when we get thrown off of our plan, our brain's just like, oh, forget it, I'm just going to order, right? It just goes to like, what is the easiest scenario? So by already having a plan B, then you're putting yourself in a position to say, okay, that's okay if I'm getting thrown off my plan A. Here's what I'm going to do instead. And you're not forcing your brain to make that decision in the moment. You've already pre-made it, coming from a place of your healthiest self, right? Your healthiest self has made that decision for you. So then all you have to do is, okay, I'm switching gears. I'm going to do a new plan. So it's a lot of like contingency planning and, just being willing to kind of be flexible with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love it. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more if they're interested in working with you?
Yeah, I would say that probably the best place to find me is on my Instagram. It's just at Brownsberger 3. And I say that because I share a lot of, just content, resources, tips, things like that. So, connect with me there if you are interested in talking about coaching. But even if you, aren't ready for coaching right now, but you are, feeling wellness curious and you want to start, dipping your toes into some of these concepts, I talk about a lot of this stuff there. And I think it's a great place to find some free resources.
Excellent. And I also have a link for them to schedule a consultation with you if they're interested.
Yep. Perfect. Great.
You guys, I'm going to put those links in the show notes. So if you connected with what Kari shared today and you are on that yo-yo cycle, go reach out to her, at least have a conversation, see if it's a good fit. And, just take the opportunity to try to better your life and your systems and all those good things and get the help that you need, because yo-yoing is no good for you. This is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Yeah, I think the number one thing, if anyone could take away from this conversation, is that you are worth investing in your health and wellness. You will never regret it. It will always pay dividends for you in other parts of your life. If you think about things that take time and energy, yes, this is going to take time and energy. Of course, anything, that you do does, but it is something that is going to give you so much time and energy, ROI on what you invest, that it is truly worth it. And so if you feel like you've tried everything else and nothing works for you, if you feel like you're just stuck where you are and, oh, maybe it doesn't really matter. It does matter. You can feel so much better in your life, in your body, and you are worth the investment in yourself.
Boom, mic drop. You know what I say all the time is if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. Like
Yeah.
your health and your wellness is your most valuable asset aside from time, right? And if you're not healthy, you can have all the time in the world and it's not going to mean anything because you're going to be miserable. So I love that you said that. Kari, it has been an absolute pleasure. I love that you found your purpose and your passion and you're pursuing it and you're helping other people live a more healthy, fulfilled life because I think that, there are a lot of people out there that need some help. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.